fantasy nerds. I have a new DC Studios update, courtesy of Variety. And it's about basically James Gunn and Peter Safran just did this press conference talking about all the stuff they got going on. Remember, they talked about their Gods and Monsters saga phase. I guess they were trying to do, to plan out phases like Marvel, but not call them phases. So they called it the Gods and Monsters phase. So here we go. DC Studios update, 2 Batman movies, a possible Teen Titans film, and Penguin Season 2, and why James Gunn posted a photo with Zack Snyder. A lot has happened with DC in just 2 years. Gunn is deep in post-production on Superman, the first DC Studios movie, no surprise there, which he wrote and directed, while simultaneously working on post on Season 2 of the Max series Peacemaker. Director Craig Gillespie is halfway through production on the summer 2026 film Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow with Millie Alcock. You may remember her as young Rhaenyra from Game of Thrones. And production has started on the Green Lantern HBO series Lanterns, which stars Kyle Chandler and the man that nobody can stop talking about, Aaron Pierre, which is aiming to debut in early 2026. Okay, let me just say this about Aaron Pierre. I really feel like he's overrated. Everybody keeps talking about him. I still haven't seen the Netflix show that he is on. All I saw was the what's that girl, Jennifer Hudson show clip that just kept going on, and everybody just kept saying his name, and it kind of got on my nerves. And when I heard that he was going to be Jon Stewart, I was disappointed. I didn't want a light-skinned, light-eyed Jon Stewart. I wanted a dark-skinned Jon Stewart. But I guess I figured as the Green Lantern, he was going to have green eyes anyway, so I guess he already had it, but whatever. Everybody loved him. I don't really like him. Moving on. Along with those updates, over the course of an hour, Gunn and Safran held forth on several topics, including the status of their initial slate of 5 films, including Batman the Brave and the Bold, and The Authority, and 5 TV series, including Waller and Booster Gold. Booster Gold is getting his own show? Okay. As well as confirmation about a handful of other projects, including a film about the Batman villain Clayface, which James Gunn recently had to come and squash rumors that Daniel Radcliffe was going to be Clayface. That don't even make sense. Like, I've seen Clayface on the Batman cartoon, and nothing about him screams Harry Potter to me. So I don't know why they was running those rumors. But anyway, a prospective live-action movie about the Teen Titans, which sounds great, especially after the Titan show we just had. I think that would be a great thing. An animated series about Blue Beetle. I wish he would have kept through the Blue Beetle movie that just, would have kept that universe, but whatever. And the future of the Sergeant Rock movie now that Daniel Craig has withdrawn from consideration for the title role. Don't know who Sergeant Rock is. Didn't know Daniel Craig was up for it. Don't care that he's not going to be it. Safran noted that DC Studios is ultimately aiming to release 2 live-action films and 1 animated film per year, and 2 live-action and 2 animated series per year. That's a lot. But the executives also reiterated the overall philosophy guiding their creative choices, namely that no project will get a green light until Gunn and Safran are satisfied with the completed screenplay. It is hard enough making a good movie with a good script, Gunn said. It's almost impossible making a movie with a script that you're writing on the run. Thank you for that. Because all of the problems start with a bad script. Like, you can't improve on a bad script. You just can't. This is why, for example, they greenlit Clayface on the strength of Mike Flanagan's screenplay, even though, as Gunn said, we had no plans on making a Clayface movie. I need to write a script. This approach stands in pointed contrast with DC Studios' obvious counterpart, Marvel Studios, which has quite famously announced many movies and their release dates without anything close to a finished script. But this is an issue that Gunn and Safran raised in their 2023 presentation, and Gunn has repeated it several times since on social media. In general, The overall presentation on Friday, while informative and insightful, lacked a sense of immediate urgency. There weren't any major announcements, even as Gunn and Safran alluded to other unnamed DC projects that they're excited to talk more about at the future date. So it seems like that Safran and Gunn don't want to lock themselves into a slate of movies and feel like they have to move forward because they said this is what movie is coming out. It's coming out on this date, and we're going to move forward whether we like the script or not, because I think that's what's happening with Marvel, and people have been unhappy with the last few Marvel films. They really haven't been happy since Endgame. They haven't been happy with anything since Endgame. I think the only thing that people have been happy with is Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine. That's it. I kind of agree with this approach. It's like, you got to make sure you have something solid to start with, or else all you're gonna be doing is playing catch up. Given that Batman has remained the most consistently successful DC character in film and TV for decades, because that's the only one you give attention. He's remained consistently successful. It's because he's the only one that you're doing. If all you're doing is Superman and Batman, then yes, that one is going to be successful because that's all you're giving your energy to. What you give your energy to is going to prosper. It's kind of like a relationship. If you don't give energy to that relationship, guess what? That relationship is going to die. It's the same way with your properties. If you don't give energy to those properties, they're not going to do well. So stop acting like it's because Batman is not great. He's a douche. He's a douchebag. And everybody loves him because they make so much effort in making this rich, white-collar criminal look cool. Because, come on now, Batman is a white-collar criminal. All he does is embezzle money from Wayne Enterprises to pay for all his Batman stuff. He should be in jail, not for killing people, but for stealing from his company. Okay. So, first up, Clayface. Safran confirmed that British director James Watkins, speak no evil, is in talks to direct what he characterized as a body horror film. And Gunn said they hope works as a pure horror movie for somebody who doesn't care at all about DC. Okay. They plan to start shooting this summer and have also started the casting process, which apparently does not include Daniel Radcliffe. Gunn has said that actors who voice a role in an animated project will also play them in live action. But while Alan Tudyk has voiced Clayface in 2 DC animated series as a buffoon and Harley Quinn, and as a ruthless assassin in Creature Commandos, Gunn said that he won't play a role in the feature film since that wasn't a primary role for Tudyk, who also plays Dr. Phosphorus on Creature Commandos. Okay, so they were doing a thing where one character plays multiple voices. Alan Tudyk was also a villain on Doom Patrol, show I am just starting to watch. He was a first season villain. So that's interesting. Okay, and Creature Commandos was basically the first animated series in this Gods and Monsters universe that was supposed to use the whole, if you voice a character in animation, then you play the character in live action. So obviously they're like, his primary role is Dr. Phosphorus. So if Creature Commandos goes live action, Alan Tudyk is going to be Dr. Phosphorus, but he's not going to be Clayface. So Safran offered a brief update of sorts on the Batman Part 2, saying that writer-director Matt Reeves has yet to turn in a full script, but what we have read so far is incredibly encouraging. Warner Brothers recently pushed the movie from 2026 to 2027. Robert Pattinson has been complaining, saying, I would like to make the Batman Part 2 before I get old. And it's like, they just pushed it 1 year. He's not finished with the script. Nigga, you already old. Get over it. So, The Penguin with Colin Farrell following the release. Oh, they had even less to say about the possibility of a second season of the spinoff series, The Penguin with Colin Farrell, following the release of part 2. We don't know. There are a lot of moving pieces, probably most important, Colin himself. And Colin just said he don't want to do a second season of The Penguin. He felt like he did all he could do with that character, and he felt like there was nowhere else to go. And frankly, I agree with him. I don't think The Penguin needs a second season, but I would like to see Sophia Gigante. She deserves her own series. Concentrate on her. Forget about The Penguin. DC Studios also remains in active development on Batman the Brave and the Bold, the film meant to bring the Dark Knight into the main DCU. So this is going to be the first Batman movie in this new universe. Reeves' Gothamverse exists in its own timeline, its alternate universe. That story is coming together nicely. And Gunn added that he has been especially focused on the project, given that everybody knows I love Batman. See what I'm saying? About giving energy to something. Something's going to be good when you give all the energy to it. You can give all that energy to something else, and that would be good too. Prime example, Iron Man. Nobody knew who Iron Man was. Nobody cared who Iron Man was. I mean, the Marvel fans knew and cared about Iron Man, but very few mainstream people knew who Iron Man was. And that movie was beloved because they gave it the energy it deserved. Okay, unfortunately, Gunn said it was very unlikely that Batman star Robert Pattinson would reprise the role for the Brave and the Bold. He don't need to. It's a different universe. Why would you have the same actor play the same character in a different universe? They're different. As first reported in October, I think I did a short on this. The animated feature film Dynamic Duo, Safran said, about the two Robins who fought alongside Batman, Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, it provides a kind of perfect on-ramp for family audiences into the world of Gotham. The studio is also still in active development on an animated series about Blue Beetle that will continue the events from the 2023 film. Okay, so they are continuing the 2023 feature film world. So will they? So since they're doing the same actors, same universe thing, will they use the same actors from the film? Safran said he expects the executive producers Angel Manuel Soto, who directed the film, and Gareth Dunnett Alcocer, who wrote the screenplay, to present the project for a possible green light pretty soon. Miguel Puga is directing the series, and Christian Martinez is writing. There's a Deathstroke/Bane script. He confirmed that Orton is working on script for DC Studios, which Gunn said is something kind of like a Deathstroke/Bane story. What does that even mean? These exchanges made plain one of the challenges of running a superhero studio. Even the possibility of a new movie or a TV show featuring one of these characters as a development project that may never come to pass for a host of reasons is enough to unleash a torrent of headlines. Okay, so basically what they're saying is they're all developing all these things. It may never happen. He doesn't want to say anything too quickly because it might get people excited and then it doesn't go anywhere. So he's trying to keep as much as possible under wraps. And I get that. It's called managing expectations. You got to do that when you're in charge. Gunn still does occasionally post to his Blue Sky, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. Most recently, a photo of him with Zack Snyder, the filmmaker whose past tenure at the helm of DC's live-action films generated a fiercely passionate online fan base, went instantly viral. Asked if the photo meant that they've discussed a possible creative collaboration, Gunn said that he and Snyder, who've known each other since Snyder directed Gunn's script for 2004's Dawn of the Dead, sometimes talk about different things, but they took the picture specifically because they knew it would melt the internet. Basically, they were trolling us. And I'm glad because happy that Zack Snyder got his little, got to do his little movie. But I realized that there aren't really many Zack Snyder movies that I actually like. I think I can think of one. I can think of one Zack Snyder movie that I like. So I'm really not excited about him getting back into DC. stay on Netflix. It's just, I just wanted to give an update on, the DC universe, what they've been up to. They've been moving things around, and there were things that they said were going to come out, but hasn't really, some things have gotten pushed back. Some things that weren't announced are coming out, like the Clayface movie. And their reason for those things moving around, to me, speaks well of what's going to happen for DC, because it's saying that we are willing to hold things until it looks right, and something can jump the line if it looks right. So Clayface jumped the line because they were like, it's a great script, we're not going to hold on to it because we planned all these other things that haven't come together yet. We're going to do good movies. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for good movies. I'm looking for good stories. And the fact that they're willing to say, we're going to stay in development until the script is good, to me, that looks good. That gives me hope. They didn't get excited about competing with Marvel and saying, well, Marvel had phases and that worked, so we need to do that too. Instead of trying to just copy Marvel, they're finding something that works for them. And I think that's going to work well for them. And that's going to work well for the DC universe, especially since Marvel is on the decline. They're not the golden boys anymore. So this is actually the perfect time for DC to rise up and shine. So I would like for both of them to shine. I don't want to, just because I like DC doesn't mean I want Marvel to, fail. I still want them to succeed. But I also want Marvel to take a look at what DC is doing and then change accordingly. Like, maybe we should take a step back at our process and reevaluate this. That is all I have for today. If you enjoy my videos, please support my channel by subscribing or donating through Ko-fi or Cash App. Or you can purchase merch related to my fantasy novel, or just buy my fantasy novel, The Fairy Princess, and let's continue the conversation in the Fairy Princess Facebook group. All links are in the description. Thank you and good night.